I was afraid no one's going to show up today because it's been a long day for a lot of people. There's a game early morning at 8 o'clock. There's a Dodgers game this afternoon. And here we are at 5:30, and thank you for showing up. I love it. The gospel reading that we heard today is about Jesus sending the disciples two by twos. In your mind, do you have any idea why Jesus sent these disciples two by twos? I will give you $1 if you answer it right. Do you have any idea? Maybe? Because Jesus, so I have to give myself $1 then. Jesus was aware of the danger that these disciples will encounter along the journey. It's two by twos. Think about this. In the gospel readings, in the parable, when there's a story about the son being sent by the father in the vineyard, but he was killed. See the idea? There is a danger involved being called and sent by God. And thinking about this, in the first reading, we heard in the book of Amos. Amos came from the south, and then he met this priest from the north. The priest from the north is well educated. He can preach and teach, but yet Amos, a shepherd. And then the theme of the second reading is about St. Paul's preaching and teaching about Christ, which at the end of his life, it's kind of over our head because St. Paul is maturing in teaching and preaching about Christ. Now, think about this also in the gospel reading. Jesus Christ, the master teacher and preacher, trained the disciples, which they're common people. They were fishermen. And if you think about this, the theme of our readings today is about preaching, teaching the Word of God. Many of you asked me for my time here at Holy Family, how do I prepare my homily? I said, it took a while for me to be comfortable talking to you with my hands flying like this. I'm Italian, by heart. I remember when I was in the seminary, there's a big circle. And then there is a professor, an old professor of mine. He taught us homiletics, how to preach and also teach. And then I won a bet, $20 from my classmates because my professor is kind of strict and scary. So whoever won the bet will approach the priest and ask him, what are you doing? So basically, Father Marlon is clever. So I asked him, what are you doing, Father? And he said to me, I'm praying that no one will approach me because I am contemplating, so back off. Whoa! No, but I like that conversation because we became friends along the way. So I asked him several tips of how to preach and teach. And he gave me 3 tips. Number 1, you know, Marlon, as a preacher and teacher, you know how to take off. Number 2, you know how to keep it short. Thirdly, you know how to land. I was fascinated about the last one. I know how to start a homily. I know how to keep it short. But how do you know how to land? And he said to me, look at the people's faces. When they started yawning, it's time to land. It was so goofy, but at the same time, it makes sense. Because the attention span of the people is this limited, but you have to keep it short and also straightforward. And I've been thinking about this all my life as a priest. And actually it works. So if you're yawning, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. Why am I sharing with this? Why are you sharing with this? The idea of the disciples being a good preacher and teacher, they arrived on that skills. They learned that skills. No one was born as a preacher and teacher. Think about this. When you were a young mom, or your mom right now, or your dad, no one taught you to be a mom. You have so much surprises in your life. As a teacher, as an artist, as a movie entertainment business, you arrive from where you are at the moment. And what I learned in this life, especially in this church business and also with God, 3 things that I found out I've been thinking about this week, and I want to share it to you. The reason why Jesus sent those apostles 2 by 2s, I'm going to share you this. The power of influence. Whatever the other person does, influence the other. If the other person is sad, the other person will be sad or will help the other person to be happy. So that's the second point, is encouragement. Power of influence. Number 2 is encouragement. Whatever happens in life, if you have a partner, if you have a spouse or a friend or a relative or a child, encourage you to be a better person. And the last point that I learned about this is mutual learning. The disciples learn from each other. The disciples took off after the crucifixion and death of Christ, but yet they learn something. If they're together, they're stronger. In a community, in a family, we learn the same way. So I encourage you, especially this week, think of those people who encourages you in life. Your mom, your dad, your grandfather, grandmom, your pet. The one that encouraged you to become a good person. And the reason why I'm saying this, because everything we feel encouraged, we feel God's presence. So I'm going to link that to what we're celebrating also today, the college kids. I hope you heard me say learning, encouragement, and also be part of this community, because this is your spiritual home. We're happy that you're here, especially when you visit us during Christmas or New Year's or Valentine's Day, whatever. You're here. And I want to use the word encouragement. I know you're a good student. I know you learn a lot and you know everything, but put something in your head that there's room for improvement, and also there's room for Jesus. Wherever we go, there's room for him, because that's where we lead, that's where your heart will be. So as a community, we will pray for you.